I didn't really realize how big a deal Jeopardy is to the American conscience. I originally wanted to be doing biology and medicine with engineering, and that sort of changed over time. I think Jeopardy is like culmination of when those hopes and dreams started to fracture into reality.
That's Lillian Chin, MIT class of 2017, SM 2019, and current PhD student, Course 6, Random Hall and East Campus. In 2017, during her senior year, Lilly achieved national fame by winning the college championship on the Jeopardy game show. In a moment of mischief, in order to get Alex Trebek to say something he's never said before, she delivered a final Jeopardy response about memes, only to realize later, to her horror, that she had become a meme, an object of the internet that could be manipulated in any way. This episode is about the unintended consequences of fame, and one woman's attempt to contend with the dark forces of the internet. I'm Ravi Patil, and this is InstaTrue, true stories about MIT, a trove of wonder, discovery, and madness. This podcast explores the diversity of the human experience. The question of what it means to be human is a timeless one. By hearing the stories of others, we just may find a piece of ourselves and be inspired to transcend our own limitations. Before we dive into Jeopardy, let's explore Lilly's background. Was there a childhood moment when you experienced the wonder of science?
So I remember as a kid reading Magic School Bus books, and there's one where they shrink the Magic School Bus down and they explore inside the human body. And one of the lead-ups is where one of the kids swabs their cheek cells and puts it under the microscope. And I remember showing my parents, oh, this is so cool. And because my parents are neuroscientists, we just went to the lab and did the experiment. My parents are immigrants from China and Taiwan. They actually met in Iowa, of all places. So I really grew up in their lab. Science isn't just something that you do in books. It's you, it's around you. And I think that really inspired me to explore more.
And did you want to study biology at MIT?
It became clear that I was interested in electronics and mechanical things, which my parents didn't really have as much experience with, but they were excited to support me. And this was always the goal of doing neural prosthetics that can actually communicate by brain to things. So that was the big dream. I think that really put me on the track to interdisciplinary research. And I've continued sort of this interdisciplinary approach in my current robotics research. It's already very multidisciplinary of electrical engineering, computer science, mechanical. I'm trying to bring in material science. But even more broadly, I'm trying to bring in a lot of things from media studies, science, technology, society, into robotics.
During her senior year at MIT, Lilly put her trivia knowledge to the test by auditioning for Jeopardy. But let's rewind a bit. During her childhood, Lilly's father watched Jeopardy to better grasp American cultural references, as he was puzzled why some jokes on Johnny Carson were getting so many laughs. So Jeopardy became part of the family.
You get your dinner, and then we have family dinner in front of the TV watching Jeopardy.
How does one get on Jeopardy?
You first do an online test, and then if you do well enough on that, you get invited to in-person auditions. And so the in-person auditions are actually how good you're going to be on camera. Can you follow directions? Do you have an extroverted personality? People don't usually think of Jeopardy contestants as the most charismatic, but there is a selection process. For some reason, they decided that there was going to be a dance-off, and I do a lot of dancing in my spare time. I was just like, yeah, I'm probably not going to get picked. Let's just, dance. And I am, 90% sure that's why I got picked, because even months afterwards, Maggie, the contestant coordinator, was like, oh, you danced so well.
Yeah. A Course 6 for busting the dance moves. I like it.
Yeah. I auditioned in October 2016, and then by December 2016, I had gotten the call of, hey, you're going to come to LA in a month. Then it's off to the races pretty much.
So you've made it to the college championship tournament. How is it structured?
They already have 15 people picked out. The first week of games, there's 5 games being played. The 5 winners of each game will get to move on. And then the next 4 highest money totals will be wild cards and then move to the semifinals. So that's the first round. So it's mostly just making sure that your money is high enough past historical cutoffs. Then the next 3 days are semifinals, and that's just single elimination. Only the winner gets to move on. Then the last 2 days are a 2-part final. So it's your score on the first day added with your score to the second. I think the expected value of doing the college tournament is much better because, one, you don't have to pay for your flights and your hotel room. Most people don't know if you're on the regular show, you have to put that up front. Two, you get a minimum amount that you get paid. You have this on the regular show too, but it's much less than what's on the tournament.
All said and done, how many games did you play in? You have the 2 from the final, and then how many before that?
So I only played 4 games. And also, 1 week of filming is done in 1 day. I was the first game, and so I was just like, oh, I'm here, and now I'm done. But even just doing that, I was exhausted going back to the hotel. If you're on the regular show, you only get 5 minutes between each game. And so you'd be filming for the entire day. And that's also why the cutoff to getting to the Tournament of Champions is win 5 games. You're coming off of the high of the first game that you've won, and then it's, okay, now do this 4 more times. And that's an entire day.
I've heard a critical element of Jeopardy is mastering the timing of the buzzer.
For pretty much all of the questions, everybody knows the answers. And all that's the difference is how you buzz in. It doesn't look like that to the home audience. Since the question is just all on the screen, and you can't interrupt Alex, the person who's reading it, you have to wait till the end. There will be some lights that come on right after Alex finishes the question, and that light unlocks the system so that everybody can buzz in. Actually, if you buzz in earlier before the cue, you will get delayed. And since everybody pretty much knows the answer, there's no benefit for going in fast. Just buzzer speed is critical.
Okay. So you're timing it as soon as you see the light, you basically hit the buzzer?
Yeah, I would go off of Alex's voice rather than the light. But yeah, people have different things.
Okay. So you've made it through day 1 and then the semifinals, which meant you qualified for the 2-game final. Game 2 is going well, and you are faced with Final Jeopardy.
That was the most double-checked piece of arithmetic that I'd done, because I was like, I think I have a lockout based on the 2-day total.
The Final Jeopardy topic was 17th century Germans. The answer is, astronomer who began his epitaph, I used to measure the heavens. Now I shall measure the shadows of the earth. Remember to phrase your response in the form of a question. Instead of playing the actual Jeopardy jingle, here is a non-copyright infringing substitute. If you answered, who is Johannes Kepler, you are correct. Congratulations. Lilly knew the answer but decided to give an alternate response. A clever, internet-savvy answer that would come to plague her later.
I had thought about this beforehand. There would be a chance that there would be a lockout game. And lots of people have done this in the past of putting a funny answer down. I want to say dank memes, but I'm not sure how much the censors will be happy about that. So I'll do spicy memes. Then the who is format. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll just do who is the spiciest meme lord.
Who is the spiciest meme lord would eventually get all kinds of laughs from Lilly's peers, but it would also get the internet's dark side revving. More on that later. So you just won, you shake hands with Alex, you get your trophy. Did you go back to the hotel room and check out?
No, we gotta film more B-roll. We gotta have the awkward YouTube video of me explaining what a meme lord is to the 65-year-olds in the audience. And then there's a cast party. It's finally a chance where everybody finally got to relax. But then at the end, we're like, hey, who wants to go get dinner? We don't have to wear the college sweatshirts anymore, and we're just going out to City Walk where we were being put up, and just getting to talk to other people like normal college students. That was really nice.
Lilly takes a flight back to Boston from LA and joins the rest of MIT for independent activities period. But remember, Jeopardy is a pre-recorded show and she couldn't reveal the results to anyone. Otherwise, she'd forfeit her $100K payday. You get back to East Campus, and your hallmates on Tedazu have no idea what's happened.
Yeah.
How long was the wait between when you had won and it being announced?
6 weeks. And then it's also stretched out over time. It was 2 days of filming for me, but for my friends, they're like, oh, they're watching every day because they want to see who my competitors are and things like that. I was actually doing grad school visits at the time. So when the tournament was airing, I visited Stanford. And one of the other contestants, Viraj, is also at Stanford. So we met up, and I think I went to his frat, and he was joking. It was like, she won the whole thing. And I was like, no, don't say it. I want my money. Yeah. But that was also wild, going around the country and seeing my friends from Stanford. And they were also hyped to see me on air.
Was this the most difficult secret you've had to keep in your life?
I don't know about most difficult secret. That seems like a high bar.
Interesting how life comes full circle. Lilly's father originally watched Jeopardy to understand American culture. I'm imagining him having dinner on the couch decades later, watching his daughter on the very same game show, yet not grasping the reference to a meme lord. But Lilly was just a phone call away.
My parents didn't realize how big of a thing this was until it was starting to show, and it was like, oh, you're on TV. And then they're badgering me about how it's going. And then my boyfriend is very sweet, and so he wasn't bothering me, but he saw me filling out some press forms, peeking over my shoulder.
As Lilly waited anxiously for her episodes to air, she had a growing sense of dread about her impending fame due to a comment from a fellow contestant.
It was literally at the cast party at the end of shooting where the contestant Julia from Georgetown, she was like, oh, your answer was really funny. You're going to get so many hits on BuzzFeed. And I was like, oh, crap. I literally did not think about this at all. So it was definitely 6 weeks of marinating, of just really thinking about the consequences of my action, but still not really registering how it was going to feel. One of the articles written by Talia Lavin called Big Tits for 600 was just documenting the harassment that you're going to face as a female contestant on Jeopardy. Once I joined the alumni network, they were like, welcome to Women of Jeopardy. Here's how you two-factor all of your accounts.
Two-factor authentication is simply adding another layer of security to your online accounts. For example, if you log into your bank account and it sends you a text message with a code, that is the second factor beyond your initial password. We'll explore online security and privacy in another episode.
But there's just no infrastructure anticipating that this is going to happen, that you need to protect yourself, otherwise this is going to get really bad. And there was just that anxiety. Jeopardy is from a different time. They put your first name, last name, what school you go to, where your hometown is, and your year in school. So you can back solve my age from that. That's an incredible amount of information to be put on there, to the point where we'd call that like being doxxed on the internet, all your personal information. And sure enough, we got letters to my parents' house. It's fan mail, but please do not contact me at my house. I got a random text from someone, and I was like, oh, hey, thanks for congratulating me. I don't think I have your number. And they're like, I just found your number online. And I'm like, that's creepy. And they're like, yeah, bye. And so it's that kind of things that you're not really expecting. I made a harassment bingo card for myself of just guessing what kind of slurs I was going to get called. I have a weird sense of humor.
Oh, no. How bad did it get?
On my first night, seeing what the subreddit was saying about me. Oh, Lily literally looks like a person who would go to MIT. And I just read this and I just started laughing because it was so petty, of just like these people who think that they know me from this little sliver of literally 20 minutes of television. And they think they know me and can comment enough about me. And so then all this stuff of, oh, Lily looks like a boy with a woman's voice. Oh, really? I think she looks like a girl but with like a man's voice. How strange. Like, just seeing all these things of like very pettiness, it just felt really funny to me.
The College Jeopardy finals featured all Asian contestants, 2 Chinese Americans and 1 Indian American. This also attracted racist comments.
I've written on my blog post, I was starting to think about all the things happening. Do not write an academic paper about this, Lily. You don't need to do this. But then obviously here I am with my academic paper written.
In addition to her engineering workload, Lilly took time to publish an academic paper on public famings. Not public shamings, but public famings, a word she coined to describe involuntary celebrification. I've added a link to this paper in the show notes. You'll find many examples of the harassment Lilly endured. Examples include an image of being sexually assaulted by President Biden and John Travolta at the same time, as well as body horror, a photo of Lilly where her head was replaced by an open clamshell.
Didn't realize that I was getting just straight up harassed until I got invited to the Tournament of Champions.
This took place 11 months after Lilly's original victory in the college championship.
And so this was November 2017 when it aired. I was with my friends and I was like, oh, let's see all the harassment. Like what everybody said, and it'll be funny. But as I was compiling the comments, people were just nice. They weren't talking about who I was personally. They were just comparing, oh, she should have gotten these questions. She should have done her betting strategy. And I actually started crying because I wasn't expecting people to just be nice to me on the internet. I had built up this armor of humor as a defense mechanism for this harassment that didn't come. I had realized I'd built up all of this armor for nothing. I was not prepared for it. This should be the experience of going on the internet. You shouldn't be expecting people to say all of these nasty things to you just because you were on television. I always keep forgetting this. So early drafts of me presenting my paper to people, I was just like, oh yeah, and then people said all these stuff about me. And everybody's like, this is horrifying. I'm so sorry that you went through all this.
It may seem strange, but a person being harassed may not realize it right away. It can take time to admit to yourself that you're being harassed.
And I'm just like, oh, this is harassment. This is why I use language of trauma and processing to describe these experiences.
Part of the reason why Lilly didn't admit to being harassed is that she also enjoyed the benefits of being a Jeopardy champion.
It's really hard to see at the time because this is nominally a positive thing. I made lots of money, I got fame, I got recognition that translated even into professional success by getting special access to speaking engagements and things like that. Part of being a researcher is not just putting out good research, but having a name and a reputation that people can be like, oh, I recognize you. And I've had research collaborators be like, oh, you're the Jeopardy girl. That's part of any sort of recognition that I get is helping people remember my name and then hopefully look at my research. So it's hard to say, right, when you're having this nominally positive thing happening to you to be like, no, this was really crappy, and even hard for myself.
What complicated Lilly's ability to process everything that happened was the difficulty in accessing her memories, given the intensity of her experience.
I don't have strong memories of that time in January 2017, and so the only official record is what is edited, those episodes. I'm very glad I have contemporaneous blog posts about it because I wouldn't remember. Otherwise, I read those posts and they're really funny. But I think it's also this recognition. I should call a spade, and this was harassment that took a while for me to really understand.
I find it fascinating how you translated this harassment into, isn't this funny? Ha ha, just laughing it off.
I got interviewed by the Comparative Media Studies department probably March or April 2017. And I only realized then because the interviewer there also commented, it's really weird that Lilly keeps using the word funny to describe these experiences. And that's what caused me to take a closer look at why I keep on saying this. And then November 2017 was the Tournament of Champions that really said it. If there's anything that I've learned from this Jeopardy experience, is that it's the importance of narratives, right? It's how you portray it and how you or someone else will take bare facts and then turn them into something that services their own narrative.
Any examples?
Being used by large institutions like Sony Pictures and MIT to have their narrative of star student, hello fellow kids, please listen to us. At the same time as this internet thing where I'm a media object, I'm up for debate. My feelings about this don't matter because I am now in the public sphere to be discussed at will. And these sort of simultaneous things makes it hard to process. It makes me try to have distance with humor, to depersonalize from myself, to treat myself as a media object. Like to write a whole paper about myself of that's not really Lilly, that's some other person who just has the same name and face as me.
Could you describe why Jeopardy loved your spiciest meme lord answer so much?
I don't have any evidence for this. This is my cynicism talking. But part of the reason why these tournaments happen at the times they do is because there's a thing called sweeps or something. I don't remember. But it's a TV term of when the Nielsen rating families are going to watch the show and determine how popular it is. And Jeopardy is a show that is popular among 65 plus audience. The core demographic that is good for advertising to is 18 to 35. So that's why having younger people on the show is a good thing. And then when the spiciest meme lord thing happened, they were really excited about it. They put an Instagram filter out. They put all of these ads. They even had a picture of myself with Deal With It sunglasses on that said, this could be you. And a lot of my friends got this ad. And also it was on r/hello fellow kids, which is a subreddit to mock overreaching efforts of boomers to appeal to the youths. I also wondered, why was I getting invited to MIT corporation dinners and stuff like that? And the cynical part of me is, oh, somebody gave MIT a lot of money because I was on the show, that they were really excited to see this positive representation. I think that one is more conspiracy theory, because I've had some friends who have years into more senior administration being like, no, just as MIT wants to celebrate the achievements when the faculty gets a Nobel Prize, we want to celebrate this achievement.
Let's dive into your paper a bit. What's the difference between a celebrity and micro-celebrity?
A traditional celebrity is who you're expecting, like movie stars and famous pop artists and stuff. There's something that we've deemed as celebrity, a special class of people. It's been unclear what celebrity really means as we get onto the internet. So you no longer have the traditional gatekeepers. It takes a lot of money to get TV cameras and a TV studio to put this all together. Instead, now with the internet, all you need is a webcam and you can be a YouTuber. And all you need is a microphone to become a podcaster.
Roger that, on just needing a mic to become a podcaster.
So starting in the 2010s, you start having Instagram influencers, YouTubers, people who are able to have this large audience, but that is still limited. And that's micro celebrity with new ways that people can access media markets. You might not be famous to everybody, but you could be famous to a specific set of people, but have the same cultural cachet as, say, George Clooney does. What I talk about in my paper is that there's this whole category of even tinier celebrity fames, like being famous for a very brief amount of time. And I use the term public faming to describe this.
A well-known example of a public faming is Alex from Target. The example is instructive and happened 7 years ago. Alex was a handsome teenager working at Target, bagging items in the checkout line, just doing his job. A girl snapped a photo of him without him knowing and posted it on Tumblr. A week later, another teenage girl stumbled upon the photo and tweeted it with the following caption, "Yo," in all caps. The tweet went viral in minutes. Alex would appear on Ellen DeGeneres' talk show shortly thereafter. He and his family would also receive death threats. All for what? Simply doing his job, minding his own business. Here's another example.
I think the most well-known one is Ken Bone, who asked a question during the 2016 presidential debates and then got insanely popular. Who is this man? Why is he wearing a nice sweater? But it's not for any particular reason, but it's just suddenly being elevated to this.
While Ken was offered some praise, he was also turned into a meme. His red sweater outfit was reportedly turned into a sexy Halloween costume. He was also offered a porn contract. All for what? Asking a genuine question about energy policy during the Clinton-Trump debates.
I just showed up on television and said something funny. It's not really a lasting sort of fame, but what I argue in my paper is that it's still worthy of study because there is still a real person behind there, and it was non-consensual to suddenly have this fame and be expected to deal with it.
Could you describe some recommendations for reclaiming your own narrative?
The theoretical kind of intervention that I had made is called radical reciprocity. There's other terms like a counter-shaming, which Signe Oldsberg uses to describe how survivors of sexual assault try to reclaim their narratives by counter-shaming their aggressor. But in this case, I had a more general term because it's not just about shame or fame, it's about reclaiming. In the paper, I talk about how there's these two modes which celebrity or micro-celebrity can act. Celebrity is working on the temporality of scarcity, micro-celebrities acting on this temporality of now and accessibility. These concepts come from Ann Jerslev in 2016 paper. So knowing that there's these two different modes in which celebrity acts, what I say is that you could fight against this by pulling out this Uno card and saying, haha, reverse onto you. It's using the same things that hurt me in these media forms, I reverse back to try to get back at what hurt me. So if we're talking about institutions, they're acting in this temporality of scarcity, of inaccessibility. And they do this because they're like, I'm MIT, I am well known, I'm powerful, people listen to what I have to say. So to sort of fight back on those same grounds, it's, hey, I'm famous now. I, Lilly Chin, am the spiciest meme lord, and I'm going to call you out on your things. And so it's using whatever position that you've gained to be like, no, I am famous and I have a voice and I should speak out. This has the obvious pitfall. Nobody really needs to listen to me in the same way that these traditional institutions of power can be listened to. But it is the smallest of soapboxes, and it's something that you can stand on.
So one way is to exercise your fame and speak out on issues that matter to you. You also had another approach.
The other way that I tried to reclaim my narrative is by compiling all of the comments in the first place. The people who are saying, like, oh, Lilly is a C word or something, they don't expect to be put on blast. They don't expect me to ever read this in the first place. But by taking it and by compiling it and seeing a pattern, it's less of, wow, a lot of people hate me, and it becomes, this particular person has issues. It's easier to write them off. If it's so easy to Google me, I'm going to do the same things against the people who are harassing me and show how harmful these platforms can make it.
So when people were harassing you, they were direct messaging you. It wasn't for the broader audience. And so you took it and posted it to the broader audience.
I did not. Do I think people should go after and harass these people? No, absolutely not. Otherwise, aren't you repeating the same cycles of violence? But the one person who I do put on blast from my DMs is this one guy who would just not stop messaging. And then it culminated into a dick pic. And so at first I was just going to block him and move on with my life. But then I had remembered people actually letting friends and family know that, do you know that your friend is doing this?
So Lilly turned the tables on her bully by identifying his friends and family and letting them know about his offensive behavior. But they didn't believe her.
They were like, oh no, I bet he's gotten hacked. That can't be. And I'm like, look, he's from California. I'm from Massachusetts. I would not find this guy unless there was a connection. So he ended up blocking me, which is funny probably to be like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. But I do have the caution that this is just straight up cyberbullying. By being forced to work in what the platform has to offer, you do run the risk of violence. There needs to be systemic change rather than just retreading the same things. But in the moment, when you're just an individual trying to keep your head above water, maybe it's okay to do these things. But it is definitely a fine line.
What takeaways do you want to leave behind for the audience?
Things look given. This is the way that things are done, right? But cultures are not monolithic. A culture is made up of individual actions such as your own. And you are an actor in a system. No matter how small you feel your contribution is, you are making a difference. So it's not just in dramatic situations like being on Jeopardy. It really just only takes a couple people to speak out and be like, this isn't right, to make a difference. And obviously the more voices that chime in, that's when you start getting to a big culture shift.
So make your voice heard.
Yeah.
Lilly has spent a great deal of time reflecting on her fame and its wide-ranging consequences. Understanding the importance of narratives from her Jeopardy experience, Lilly has used her voice to bring about change on campus. I wish her the best of luck as she finishes her PhD research on robotics, and I look forward to seeing how she furthers equity and ethical behavior in her career. While we clearly see the beneficial aspects of the internet, the ease of passing judgment and instantly reaching a large audience also brings forward the worst of human behavior. It's up to all of us to reinforce civil interaction. Choose happiness. See you next time.